Chris Miles, Brendan Haywood, Lionel Hollins here with you, and the Golden State Warriors have now won a road game in the playoff series 17 straight times. This one very convincing in New Orleans against the Pelicans, bouncing back from that Game 3 loss. But look, Kevin Durant was the story of this particular game. 38 points on just 27 shots. Again, that efficiency thing we talk about. He was just amazing.
It was amazing, and right from the start, he was aggressive. He got to the mid-range. He pulled up. He wasn't taking a lot of threes early, but he was getting to the mid-range. He was driving to the basket, and the guys that they had on him had no shot at blocking his shot. He was just raising up over them, making a shot. Here he goes here. Nobody's blocking that. He's 7 feet tall, and he's got long arms, and he has a high release point.
Brendan, talk about that release point, because Anthony Davis is, when Drew Holiday's on him, we get it. He's shorter. It's not going to work out, 6'4" versus 7 feet. But there you see it. Anthony Davis, a fellow 7-footer, couldn't get his hands in the way of that shot.
Yeah, Kevin Durant, you know, he's a legit 6'9", 6'10" himself. And he has great jumping on his jumping ability, leaping ability, and he gets such great arc and range on his shot. You see right there, that's Anthony Davis putting a hand in his face. KD still shooting the basketball like AD isn't even there. He has a feathery touch. He had it going tonight in the mid-range. So if Anthony Davis can't stop Kevin Durant's shot, you know what's going to happen when Drew Holiday is trying to guard him in the mid-range. That's like Kevin Durant shooting over a chair. He doesn't even see Drew Holiday. So he got really hot early on. Drew's a great defender. Had a ton of success last series guarding Dame Lillard. But guess what? KD and Dame Lillard are slightly different basketball players, big-time height advantage, and I think that KD used his height and played to his skill set tonight.
A lot of times when people talk about the best players in the game, okay, let's talk about the best scorer right now, because it seems like KD should still be at the very top of that list from what we saw this afternoon, right? He just brought it out in the sense that the mid-range is something that's lost in the game. Everyone wants to shoot three-pointers or finish at the basket. He dominated this game from the mid-range.
He does. And, you know, there's guys that are shooters, that are spot-up shooters. There are guys that are good post-up players. KD does it all. KD can catch and shoot. He can come off a screen and shoot. He can one-on-one, shake and bake, drive. And he's always been a natural scorer. I think, you know, there's guys that know how to score. He's always been that kind of guy, and he showed it tonight because he came out and he said, I'm going to put you guys on my back tonight. Curry's a little bit off. I'm not waiting on Clay. I'm going to do it myself.
He has an infinite scoring range, and so that means he can pull up from deep. He can get it done in the mid-range. He can score on the block, on the post, and no one can really stop him just because he's so tall and has great touch. So when a guy like Kevin Durant comes out there with that aggressive, hungry mindset that Draymond said he needed to come out with, then you see a very active KD. That's a problem for anybody on the block. Think even back to last year's finals. When LeBron James switched to Kevin Durant, he had no answers for KD either. So KD is elite. He's probably player 1B right now to LeBron's 1A, and tonight he put everything on display and gave us a great performance in the playoffs.
When you look at the starting lineup for tonight's game for Golden State Warriors, it's the first time that we've ever seen the, quote, death lineup or the, quote, Hampton Five, whatever you want to call it. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, and Kevin Durant. That's the first time they've ever started together, and you saw immediate dividends.
Yeah, well, you saw a team that's able to get out and transition and play a fast style of basketball, and then at the same time they're able to defend. They were able to apply a little bit more pressure. Everybody was able to touch the ball. And then from the jump, you knew the game plan was to get KD established. He came out super aggressive. So when KD comes out aggressive with this five, and they're able to get up and down the court they play fast anyway. Even with JaVale McGee, they still play fast. But when they play with this death lineup, they're next level fast, and at the same time, they can still defend. So it makes them very hard to guard.
And when they go small like that, they switch everything. They don't care who's guarding anybody, and that makes it difficult for offenses that aren't ready for switching and don't know how to adjust to it.
What does that say for Kevin Durant as a defender compared to what we saw in Oklahoma City to what we see now, him protecting the rim and being able to be that center of the defense?
Well, it's about expectations. And, you know, in OKC, he wasn't expected to be an elite defender. He was expected to be a scorer. He goes to Golden State. They have a lot of guys that can score. But their mantra is, we got to defend. We're going to defend. We're going to run. We're going to move the basketball. We're not going to hold it. KD goes out to Golden State, and he has to fit with the program. And fit with the program means you got to be better defensively than you were before you got here.
I think a lot of times when we see young players coming to the league, we want them to be a finished product, Coach. We want them to walk. We live in a microwave society, so we want these guys to come in and know how to do everything. And some of these guys have to learn how to play defense. They have to learn to be a leader. And KD has always been the most talented player on the court. But now we're seeing him play defense at a level that he never played at in OKC. And I think a lot of that is because it's expected. He's in a championship environment. He's learning from that championship environment, and it's bringing the best out of him on both ends of the basketball court.
Great adjustment by Steve Kerr to go with that lineup. Why do you think it took so long for him to start those guys together? I mean, it's been a full 2 seasons now.
Well, I mean, as a basketball coach, you're looking at different things, and it's all about your matchups as well. And so a lot of times you might think, hey, this guy's playing well, or we normally like to do this lineup, and this guy plays better off the bench with the reserves, and there's all types of numbers that prove to you why this lineup is better than that. So there's a bunch of different reasons. At the end of the day, I think the matchup dictated that they needed a little bit more athletic lineup, so they put Iguodala out there. He's able to guard multiple people. They're able to switch a bunch of screen and rolls, and that way they're able to force the Pelicans to play one-on-one, and Golden State has very, very good defensive players. And
what happened, too, is when you have a game like the third game, and the Pelicans played so well, you're trying to make an adjustment. And they went home and they said, what adjustment can we make that take the momentum away from them and make them have to do something different? They took Rondo out of the game a little bit with this lineup. And they did a great job also on AD in the post and the way they play, because they're a little quicker and a little bit more versatile and playing the pick and rolls, as Brendan just said. And as a coach, you always have something in your back pocket that you're trying to hold on to when it's absolutely necessary. And he needed something to give them some energy and give them a little bit more focus to go out and be who they're supposed to be, because it's hard when you've been as good as they have for the last few years. And you look defensively also, like their pressure, they were able to turn the Pelicans over a lot. You look at this team, 19 turnovers to only 17 assists. I think a lot of that had to do with that lineup, how they started the game out, how they were able to pressure, get into the ball, limit Rondo's effectiveness. And I think a lot of that had to do with that lineup, that new lineup that Steve Kerr put out there.
Look, in Game 3, Rondo had 21 assists. In this Game 4, just 6 assists, 6 points. He did have 11 rebounds, but as far as making it happen for the Pelicans, it did seem as though it was more difficult of a task for Rondo to get that going. What did you see defensively from Golden State, specifically on Rondo, that made it so difficult for him?
I think they had, like I said, they have a bunch of long athletic defenders, and so they were able to get into Rondo a little bit. And then at the same time, Rondo, he took some shots, he didn't hit them, and they were able to just recover and not give him the same easy looks, the same easy passes. Some of those easy lobs where Rondo's just sitting there all day picking them apart, they were able to get some hands up in those type of passing lanes and make things a little bit more difficult. Their team defense was a lot better tonight than we saw in Game 3.
And also, they had to play more one-on-one because of the versatility of the defense. And then some of the guys, Mirotic didn't play very well and didn't shoot the ball very well. So when those guys aren't doing it, Rondo's assists are naturally going to be down. I don't think it was all of what they did to Rondo. I think it was a combination.
If this is a chess match and you saw New Orleans make the adjustment for Game 3, what can they do to be competitive in Game 5 and possibly pull out another win and try to extend this series?
Well, I think that if they're going to try to make an adjustment, I think like I said, it might just have to be pounding the ball inside. This lineup is a little bit smaller, so a little bit more AD, a little bit more Mirotic, and hopefully those guys will create a big enough problem that you can get some open shots on the perimeter. Obviously tonight the Pelicans struggled with their shot. They were 15% from 3, 4 for 26. So it's going to be hard to beat anybody when you're shooting that poorly, but when you see a lineup that's very small, you don't want to try to match up and go and get up and down and run with that lineup. That's not to your benefit. What you want to do is attack them right at the front of the rim and say, hey, where do we have the height advantage? Where can we exploit them? Throw this ball inside, create a problem. And once that problem we create inside starts getting double teamed, whether that's Mirotic or whether that's Anthony Davis, then we can kick the ball around the perimeter and have some of our shooters get wide open shots. And that's what you really want to do. Against Golden State, it's all about the quality of shot that you're able to get against them. Pelicans couldn't get a lot of quality shots tonight.
What's